Your childhood trauma could have a significant effect on the way you're conducting your life in terms of not being able to step out into your power and live life as the most authentic, highest frequency version of you. In this video, I'm going to go over a situation that I had when I was younger, how it's impacted me, and how I am now really starting to realize how it has limited me for most of my adult life. And that is the key to really zeroing in and focusing on healing and allowing these traumatized versions of ourselves to step forward and finally be seen. Now, I was always little. I was kind of behind in the pack, really short, really skinny, looked maybe 5 years younger than everyone else. I remember when I started high school, I think I was maybe like 90 something pounds. And I remember in gym class going into the weight room and started bench pressing. We were doing this weight training, and I was able to barely do the 45-pound bar at that time. Whereas there were guys in there doing, benching 200 pounds or more. Now, my height was always behind. I was always really short. I'm still not tall, on the small side, but I have really looked back and looked at some of the situations and the trauma that I incurred when I was little or experienced when I was younger that has had a big impact on my ability throughout most of my life to really step out and step into my power. I've been afraid to be seen because I've always been kind of in the background. I was overlooked when I was younger. When we were picking teams in high school and in junior high, I was always one of the last ones to be picked because I was always small. So these types of situations really ingrained in me or created programming in me that said, I am really small. I am in the background. I am not being seen. Now, as I got through high school and I got into college, my personality really started to bloom, to blossom, to come forward. I got more outgoing. I got more confident. I got really proficient in martial arts and taekwondo. I practiced that for years and years and years. And I think that was one of my ways to really start to be seen. It allowed me to really step out. I had practiced for hours a day for a long, long time. And I got really proficient, really good, really fast. And that was kind of a stepping stone for me to be able to finally start to step out of my shell. Very significant. And I practiced that into adulthood as well. My kids got involved with it when they were little. So it's something I was able to pass down to them. But that activity really helped me to find confidence in my abilities. Now, throughout my adult life, there's been situations where I've kind of wanted to fly under the radar. I wanted to not be seen. When I was in a familiar group of people, I was able to really express myself and come out authentically. But when I was out, maybe in uncomfortable or unknown situations, I would kind of shrink back down to that small, little, frail, undersized child that I was when I was really little. So I kept feeling that aspect of me rise up, even though we're not always conscious of when that happens. We just, in certain situations, want to kind of hide in the background. We gravitate back to our smallness. We identify with it because we don't want to be seen. And it's subconscious. We're really not aware of it. But that goes back to the trauma that I experienced when I was really little. Another example, I remember my dad signed me up for baseball, Little League. I don't know, I was maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. And I remember standing out there at home plate and being up to bat and all eyes on me and everything. And again, I was so small, I wasn't going to hit the ball very far, if I even hit the ball at all. And I kind of panicked and I ended up quitting. I think after that game, I quit baseball. Couldn't be seen, didn't want to be seen. So that's the kind of trauma that we experience. And when we get older, that comes up subconsciously and it has an effect on how we react or respond to different situations. Maybe we're being shown an opportunity to really step out into our power. Maybe it's something in school or it's something at work where you have this nudge within you, like, oh, I know how to handle that. I know how to take care of that. I have the answer to that problem. I hold the solution. But that programming is there. We're afraid to be seen. Maybe we're afraid that we're going to look funny or we're not going to perform up to everybody else's expectations. So we will shy away and shrink away from that situation. Again, for me, that's becoming that small, traumatized version of me from when I was younger. And after I awakened, I really started to realize how that version has impacted me throughout most of my life. And now I'm really able to zero in and spot that traumatized child when it tries to come up in a certain situation and try to protect me and control me by pulling me back in and making me small. Now, when we have that awareness about us, we have a choice that we can make in that moment because we can recognize what's happening. And instead of allowing that version of you to take you and pull you aside and make you into something that is opposite of your authentic, empowered version, you want to have the ability in that situation to recognize what's happening and allow that traumatized version of you to be seen, to be felt, to be loved. That's what it needs. And you have the ability with your consciousness, with your full attention, with your full awareness, with the connection to your heart, to embrace that fear, embrace that emotion that comes up because this wounded child doesn't want you to experience what it experienced way, way back decades ago. It wants to keep you safe. So it's going to try to avoid any situation that might put you out there. That's what was happening with me. Doesn't mean I don't feel that anymore. I still feel that when situations or opportunities come up where I have an ability to really step out, I feel that wounded inner child in there wanting to keep me small because it's comfortable. It's what it knows. It doesn't have to feel these emotions of anxiety and fear. It's easier just to let the opportunity go, shrink back down, shy away from it, let it pass. But more opportunity comes your way as we walk this ascension path, we walk this consciousness path. We're going to be presented with more opportunities. And those opportunities are there to allow you to be able to bring awareness to these wounds that we're harboring within our body so that they can be seen, felt, and expressed. That's what we have to do, is we have to be there for them. Okay. We weren't there for them when we were younger, earlier in life. And I know my parents were fantastic and they didn't force me to do anything that I didn't want to do. So I just quit. Okay. I felt uncomfortable and I quit. And maybe at that point they could have been more stern with me and forced me into situations. I know I had to do things I didn't want to do throughout my life. They didn't shelter me from everything, but some of these bigger experiences like baseball, being out there, even giving speeches, shied away from that. I remember in junior high, I think it was junior high, my mom called my English teacher and said, Mark can't give a speech in front of the class. He's got too much anxiety. So I gave the speech privately to my teacher. Okay. So maybe I could have been thrust into those situations back then. Would it have been debilitating? I don't know. I don't know how I would have responded necessarily, but I was saved from those emotional experiences at that time. So now when I'm looking to step out, when I'm being guided by my higher self to become this bigger version of me, metaphorically bigger version of me, getting out, getting my voice out there. Okay. Now it's not a vertical height thing. It's an expression thing. It's a consciousness thing. We're expanding, right? Now I have to navigate through these dense traumatic experiences, the emotions caused by these experiences that I've been carrying with me for decades now. Now is the opportunity for me to be able to lean into them and allow them to fully be felt and to lean into these experiences that bring about anxiety, fear. Maybe things come up in your life where you have to do it. Maybe in a past version of you may have been sheltered from that, be it from maybe your parents or a relative or even a boss. Maybe you were being protected and that protection's gone. So you have to get out there. You have to do certain things that you don't have control over, but yet it's part of the journey. And it's part of the journey because it's being laid out in front of you by your higher self. Okay, so if I never had experiences where I had to step out and do things that I felt were uncomfortable, if I was protected from that always, I would be limited in how much expansion I'd be able to go through, how much of my higher self I'd be able to ground. I wouldn't have the space because the space would be taken up by all this dense traumatic energy that's in my body that I've been avoiding feeling. But when a situation arises where I have to step out or I have to feel almost exposed, all eyes on me type of thing, and I don't have my parents here to save me from it, I need to summon that courage. I need to summon the courage to be able to stand in these emotions, these dense emotions that are rising up to be alchemized, and allow them to be there, and yet take that necessary step forward because it's really unavoidable, right? But we need to remember that we're being guided in those situations to be able to heal and clear the trauma. So as I've been going down this healing path, this healing journey, a lot of those emotions came forward when I started to create content, when I started to do coaching, private coaching sessions, when I started my group membership, the Starseed Ambassador Tribe membership, when I had to speak in front of groups of people. A lot of those same emotions came forward that I had when I was younger, except instead of running away from it, I embraced it. I leaned into it. And every time I did and moved through one of those experiences, I felt invigorated. I felt amazing. I felt empowered because I felt myself aligning with my purpose. So where my ego wanted to keep me safe, it was really keeping me from my purpose. So my higher self showing me what's in the way. This aspect of you, this ego, this inner child version of you is holding you back now. So we need to hold the space and allow this aspect of you to be seen and felt finally. And once we do that, that energy dissipates. It rejoins the whole, rises in frequency. You become less dense. You become less anchored to that aspect of you, that small, scared version. And you become more aligned with your higher self, the one that is expansive. So when you're feeling these kind of emotions rise up, know that it's your higher self guiding you along your journey, showing you what is in the way, what is stopping you, what is holding you back. Now, you may not identify what it was, the actual experience from your childhood that caused it. I didn't realize what it was till maybe a couple of years ago. Okay, but I had still done a lot of that healing work prior to even identifying the actual experiences. But one day they started floating up into my awareness. Baseball, okay, those types of things when I was really little, giving speeches, right? So this stuff started to come up into my awareness, the stories, because it was freed up. The more space I created, the more I became aware of some of these stories as they rose up. They were tied to the emotional baggage that I was carrying. I started working through the emotions first, then the stories came. You may know or remember what caused the trauma, and then you start working through it from there. That's okay. However you do it, the important thing is to feel when something arises where you want to shrink and be safe, turn away from it, that has to do with something that happened to you a long, long time ago, and you are being guided into an opportunity to feel that dense energy and fully express yourself in spite of it. Okay, that's what this journey is all about. It's about expansion. It's about growth. So if something's there making you small, you want to acknowledge it, bring love forward, compassion forward, and allow yourself to springboard or dive into the opportunity that's going to expand you. if we can do this and be guided by these emotions, you are going to have a graceful path along your healing journey. Just expect that these things are going to come up. These emotions, these feelings are going to be triggered. You're not always going to know why or what caused it, but that is entirely okay. That's how we roll along this journey. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click that like button now. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your experiences regarding what I brought forward in this video, and I would be so grateful if you would watch one of the videos that pops up on the screen next. Thank you.